I think it happened, unfortunately, very early. I've had different, phases and different experiences, but I worked for a startup early on. This was right after my PhD, and I really enjoyed it, and I really like the team, and we're still in touch. We're friends, But I was like, these people are trying to do AI related stuff. I used AI a lot during my PhD. So people were hiring me to do AI related stuff before it was cool. This was, people call it data science. And I thought there isn't much to do here in this company with data science. There's always stuff you can do, but they have other problems, bigger problems, right? And I had the impression that they'd hired me because it was fancy, it was trendy, and also because it was cheap, because they got government, what do you call it, like government tax breaks, if you want, from hiring a person who actually had a PhD and could do
Wow.
R&D stuff. So they got all these R&D credits. And I think it was like, okay, I cost them like 5K a year, which was pretty low for them. So I was like, why not? Very
Yeah.
quickly, I was like, okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense. We're trying to use AI, but we don't have data. And they had lots of business issues, like validating what the user wanted, really, or what the client really wanted. So I kind of helped with that in the end a lot. It's okay, let's build a prototype. So it was a good experience, but I started feeling like this is a little bit strange. I was hoping I would be building real products that people would use. And then I moved to London at that point. I was living in France back then, and I moved to London and I got a new job. And the experience was, again, a little bit similar. At first, very exciting. And I built really, really nice algorithms that are used by a lot of people. They're still being used and they've made a lot of money. But then you also saw this other side, of, people not necessarily working that hard or cherry picking results to promote your stuff in the organization. But so far, so good. But then I thought I'm going to work as a consultant. I'm going to do more, take on independent projects here and there, and started doing that. And I landed on this very famous company that you've definitely heard of. And I didn't have anything to do. And my only work was to kind of pretend that AI worked better than it did. Right. So it was almost a little bit fraudulent because I arrived in this team and they had already built a product. Right. So I was supposed to help improve the product, but the product never really worked. And it was a tool to help people make decisions in the organization, right? With AI. It's just like AI is all the rage. And this was before ChatGPT, but companies were very interested, and the system could have never worked. If you'd had asked anyone, can we actually build this? They would have said, no, we don't have the data. It's very complicated. We're trying to simulate the effect of certain decisions without any data. Very, very difficult. But they kind of sold it very well internally in the business, right? And then you have a team with a lot of people in it, including me, and this product doesn't work. And whenever we had meetings and our system outputted a decision that contradicted the management, completely unfounded decision because the system didn't really work, they would be like, you're telling me I should, let's say, open a shop here, but I just decided to close a shop here. So the product manager would say, oh, there's probably a bug somewhere. And then we would go and kind of override the output to the point that the
Right.
whole system was tailor-made to tell executives in the organization that their decisions were the right ones. And I saw that, unfortunately, a little too much. And I
Okay.
started seeing a pattern with different companies of the cart before the horse. We're AI first. So we're
Mhm.
going to try to shoehorn AI everywhere because it's trendy without acknowledging its limitations. So it's not always, or actually, I think it's almost never a fraudulent thing to start with. It's not like people say we're going to lie.
No.
They actually believe AI is going to work and we need to use it, and we need to hire a lot of people. They get super excited. They hire sometimes 70 people in one go without knowing what they'll use AI for. I was also part of a team at that point that were, okay, they'd
Insane.
never spoken with a potential user of what we were going to build. They didn't know what the user was, right? And they hired 70 people. They put a lot of people in a sort of staging area because there was literally nothing for them to do, but they wanted to hoard them. These are all PhDs, expensive people, difficult to find. They never knew what AI would be used for, right? So again, I see this enthusiasm about AI, forgetting everything else you've learned about business. Understanding your client, validating. They keep saying that we're going to build a prototype, but then they get so excited that they build really complicated products. They're not really prototypes, and then they don't work. What happens when
Mm.
they don't work? You kind of need to start lying about it, because you've just hired 70 people. Do you want to be the person who says this doesn't work? So let's just, you know, take a step back?
Wow.
No. Right. So I saw this whole pattern, and I think I was very naive before. I always thought that companies operate in a very efficient way because it's like otherwise you don't survive, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think I've become a bit more cynical over time.
But is
Because it's like,
that more common in tech companies because they've got the big funding behind them? They have this almost unlimited well of money that a corner shop or a restaurant just couldn't do something like that.
yeah, I think they can get away with it a lot more.